A wonderful and heartfelt welcome to tonight's discovery session with Brandon. And it's on the theme of to discover, for all of us to discover what the body is trying to tell us. I've been keeping an eye on the chat box, and I'm absolutely delighted to have so many different nations here today, and welcome everybody from around the world. We have Israel, we have USA, we have Canada, we have Germany, we have France, we have Netherlands, we have Belgium, and these are just a few of the people who actually typed in and said hello and said where they are from. So it spans quite a lot of our globe. So a heartfelt welcome to everyone. My name is Gabby Burt. I'm International Director for The Journey and have been with The Journey and Brandon Bayes for 27 years now. It's been an incredible privilege to accompany her through all the years of live seminars, at the same time through all the years of online seminars since the event of COVID. And it doesn't happen very often that I need to make an announcement like today. But today is the first time Brandon actually won't be here live with us today. And fortunately, we have one of the sessions recorded on this particular theme. We had some serious floods and storms in Greece last week. I'm not sure if you've heard. And Brandon's house was quite severely damaged, and they had some toxic material floods in their basement, and she contracted bronchitis. Now, we were hoping that she'd be better today, but she's just finding it very difficult to talk. And so I'm asking, first of all, to please send her your blessings and well wishes so that whatever this is that's going on in her chest and in her lungs can clear quickly and effortlessly. She's a very, very good patient, and she always does what she's being told, and we didn't allow her to come on today. So, and also what I wanted to say is I have received all of your comments, I have received your emails, and the session for today covers this. It covers physical illness, it covers tiredness, exhaustion, chronic fatigue syndrome, any issues that you may have. And I will also address some of, I'm going to be here with you during the session, and I will address if there is anything that hasn't been covered. But I trust that this session, because the body is the barometer of our soul, and this is first and foremost such a profound teaching. And so Brandon will go through a teaching session first and then actually do a guided introspection that you can undergo with her. And I'll be there at the end to cover some other points that may still be missing or lacking of today. So I thank you with all my heart for your understanding. Please stay here, join us. We also have another free place for the upcoming Journey Intensive to give away. And so this announcement will be made at the end of the session. Brandon is on for about 45 minutes. So please stay with us, and I see you on the other side. And please take this teaching, this revelations of what's being taught here by Brandon really to heart. It's powerful, and it's something that you can adopt and take into your life. So enjoy, have deeply experiential and healing time, and I see you after Brandon. Thank you. Let's welcome Brandon into the room now. Thank you.
Thank you, and a heartfelt welcome to everyone. I'm always so moved to see how many different countries are calling in, and indeed, we in the Journey, we give seminars and have given seminars in 39 countries around the world, and the work is translated into 23 languages, so it really does feel like a huge international community, and I love this topic that we're diving into today. And I'm hoping that you will join me, not just to learn all about awakening and cellular healing and how it's possible to participate in your own body's healing, but to also have an experience of befriending your body, getting a chance to listen to what your body has to tell you. And For those of you new to the journey was originally born 30 years ago. I was diagnosed with a basketball-sized tumor. And part of the gift of my own healing experience, and I healed in 6.5 weeks' time without drugs or surgery, and I was completely tumor-free. And part of the gift of my own healing journey is I found a means, a method for all of us to undergo our own healing journeys and to go on a journey inside the body to get access to something that is termed by science, medical science, to be cell memory. Now, one of the things that science has found that when you feel a strong emotion and you repress it, you sweep it under the carpet, you deny it, you pretend it's not there, you just, sweep it away and get on with your life. In the moment that you suppress that emotion, it releases into your bloodstream a quantifiable biochemistry, which will go to certain areas of your body, to certain cell receptors, and block those cells, rendering those cells incapable of communicating with the rest of the cells of the body. And if over time illness happens, well, obviously it happens where the cells are blocked. And conversely, what's also known to be true is that when we feel our emotions very openly and freely, naturally, like a child does, our cell receptors remain open. And so part of the huge gift in my own healing journey, here I was in the field of personal growth and alternative healing, wellness field, and had been my whole adult life certified in so many areas. And at the age of 39, the last thing I ever expected to have happen was to be diagnosed with this basketball-sized tumor. And it really sent me reeling because I felt like I was at the cutting edge of what was happening in the whole field of health and well-being and healing. And I was walking my talk. And so it sent me on this, catapulted me literally on not only a profound healing journey, but a spiritually liberating and awakening healing journey. And part of the gift of my own healing journey is I found this means to spontaneously, I was guided by grace, by life, to go on a journey inside the body and get access to these cell memories, and was guided to somehow go through a deep process of release and letting go, ultimately forgiveness, so that when new cells were born, they were born completely devoid, free from that old consciousness, those old traumas, that old buried pain, that old programming. So in literally in transmuting that, when new cells were born, the next generation of cells, that programming was not passed on to the next cell generation. So the next cell generation of cells were born as regenerative cells. I mean, I can remember when I went to go see the doctor and I received this diagnosis that I had this pelvic mass. She said to me, it probably started as one cell when you were 8 years old. And then that replicated into a second cell. And then about 6 weeks before I got in to see the doctor, my tummy went from being just a little bit puffy to being quite large. I looked like I was about 6 months pregnant, even though I knew that I wasn't. And so she said, over time, towards the end, the cell replication got aggressive. And then I finally got in to see her, and she said to me that I was bleeding internally and I needed to get into hospital that day and find out, is it benign, is it malignant? But she said, it's not going to matter. I won't be able to do it because I don't have the time, but you'll have to get another surgeon. It's got to be surgically removed. And I said to her, well, is there a chance you can buy me some time to see if I can heal it myself? And I said, I'm certified in so many areas of of alternative health. I'm a master herbalist, and I've studied in medical hypnosis, a master NLP therapist, studied psychology and acupuncture, was a kinesiologist, iridologist, and so I ran the gamut of what was available, and I considered myself to be at the cutting edge of what was happening in the field of alternative medicine at that time. And she said, listen, Brandon, you came to me because I practice integrative medicine here and attached to this clinic. We put people on cleanses, we have guided visualization, we have acupuncture, and she went on and on listing all the things that they did. I prescribe herbs for people. And she said, if I thought you could go that route, it's the first route I would prescribe for you. But take a look at all these books up there above my head. She said, there's not a single case study of a woman who's been diagnosed with a mass as large as yours, who successfully healed herself. So though I may wish you well, you need to get real. You're going to need to get into the hospital today. We'll need to find out, is it malignant or benign? But it's not going to matter. You're going to need to have it surgically removed. And I said, well, listen, if through one of my aspects of training, if I can get the bleeding to stop over the next 3 days, how much time could you give me? And she said, well, if you're willing to do that, if you can get it to stop over the next 3 days, I can give you a month. But if you are not significantly healed in a month's time, you need to come back to me, and it will need to be surgically removed. And so I remember walking out of her clinic there in LA, and I had my best friend with me, and I was holding her hand, and my heart was thumping through the roof. My mind was going a million miles a minute. And as I stepped out into that LA sunshine, in front of me was a mimosa tree, something I hadn't even noticed going in. And I stopped and looked at this wondrous tree with golden blossoms that looked like golden rain. And it was as if time stopped. And I was just taken into this timeless moment where my heart started to slow down and my mind wound down. And I was absolutely arrested by the beauty of this tree. And in that timeless moment, out of nowhere, came waves of gratitude. Gratitude just to see the color yellow, to smell a fragrance I hadn't even noticed before. Gratitude to just be allowed to breathe, to have a body. And in that timeless moment, it's called the Satori experience, a gut knowing arose that somehow I would be guided to heal. And even though I didn't have a clue how that would be, I was so grateful at that time in 1993 for all the amazing work going on in the field of cellular healing, and specifically at that time for what was going on with Dr. Deepak Chopra at that time. He was a medical doctor working as a chief surgeon general in a hospital in Boston. And he did a radical thing as a surgeon. He said, we know enough about what makes people ill and die. He said, I want to know what makes them heal against the odds without drugs or surgery or any kind of medical intervention. And he amassed hundreds and ultimately over time, thousands of case studies of people who had healed spontaneously. That's the medical term for it. And he could find that they only had two qualities in common. One was that through some act of grace or spontaneous event, they actually got access to this that he called the infinite intelligence, the part of you that's making your heart beat right now, and your eyes shine, and your hair grow. And the second thing they had in common was that through some act of grace or spontaneous event, they actually got access to these cell memories I was speaking about. And if somehow they released the programming, the consciousness that was stored there, then when new cells were born, the next generation of cells, they were born devoid of that old programming as new regenerative cells. Now, I was at the cutting edge of what was happening in that field. I'd even seen the case studies. But unless you have a method, it's no more than a bunch of inspiration on a page. And that's where I stood as I was looking at that tree and this gut knowing. Somehow I would be guided to heal. And even though there wasn't a method out there, I had the knowing that somehow I would. And that was the gift of my own journey. And I did find a means for all of us to open into this infinite intelligence, to this huge divine healing potential that is your own essence. And to go on that journey inside the body, to really get access to specific traumas, cell memories, old things that took place where none of us were given a manual. How do you deal with these crises that happen and with these traumas that happened? And so all of us, it's natural when we feel that strong emotion and no one gave us a manual how to deal with it, we naturally shut down. And that biochemistry is released. And so I found this means for all of us to get access to what's stored inside your body, to really learn what it is your body's trying to communicate to you. Not only to uncover the cell memories, the traumas, the old buried pain, those issues you never wanted to look at, but to go through quite a profound process of release, letting go, and ultimately understanding, where your body's communicating the life lessons, the karmic lessons you were meant to learn through going through that trauma that you went through. And ultimately through a deep process of forgiveness. And that's when you let go of your whole story of pain, so that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that. And so what's so beautiful about all this, the work over the next 30 years took place, and it evolved and it grew, and there are journey practitioners around the world. And of course, the journey became this massive international bestseller, and I've written 5 books since then. And right now in Israel, there are 3 hospitals where, let's say, you've been diagnosed with heart disease, and after you've gotten your treatment, whatever medical treatment they give you, you're sent to a recovery center where what you're doing is the journey, where you get to the emotional root cause of what co-created that heart disease in the first place. And they're finding that they're getting almost miraculous results, where not only people are healing, but that heart disease is not returning. Same thing in a second hospital in the oncology floor, where you get whatever treatment they undergo, and they have a week-long recovery where they are getting to the emotional corollary of what co-created that cancer in the first place. Same thing with multiple sclerosis. And so again, they're getting to the emotional root cause, the cell memories, the programming that get passed on from one cell generation to the next, and clearing it and getting extraordinary results. As a matter of fact, a whole documentary is being shot, which is hopefully going to Netflix, about how when people get to the emotional root cause and really clear it out, how the body is then capable, the infinite intelligence of your own body is capable of healing. Now, many of you, and I love receiving from you, some of the issues that you're facing. One woman was sharing how she and her daughter went through a lot of traumas and crises. They both developed depression, but it's almost like she developed this codependent bond with her daughter, and they were both feeling the same depression for years. And finally, after years of doing emotional work and healing work, etc., they healed from the depression. And her daughter's fully healed. And yet when her daughter shares with her about the whatever emotions she's experiencing, the mother has this huge reaction, even though she knows it's healthy. And she feels like there's this energetic tie that is tied her to her daughter. And so she was wondering how it is we clear that. And yet another woman was sharing how she feels like she's actually dealt with a lot of her own emotional issues, but that some of the issues she's carrying aren't even her own. They're generational issues that have been passed on to her generationally from her parents, and wondered, is this true that this can happen? Or can they be past life cell memories? And the first time I went to Germany, I think it was 2005, I was in Munich. And there, on the second day, we were doing the Journey Intensive, which is this very deep 3-day immersion where you learn all the latest up to the minute journey work, and you're learning the emotional journey, the physical journey, advanced skills. And it's a hugely liberating and healing wash clean, And so I was there giving the Journey Intensive. And on the second day, where we were doing the physical journey, where we literally went inside and got access to the cells, one man said he was sharing his experience, his process. He went inside his heart and he said, Brandon, I don't have any heart problems that I'm aware of. But he said it was the oddest thing, because the cell memory that I underwent wasn't even my own. It was my mother's. And she was in the concentration camp in World War II. And after World War II, I was born post World War II, most like everybody in this room. And he said that, he said, ever since I was born, he said, I felt like I had this lid over my life. And my mother, even though I was aware she was in the concentration camps, she went, shh, we don't talk about what happened in those camps. He said, I never knew what she went through. And he said, when I went inside my heart, all of her cell memories came flooding up and in living color. And I had to go through a process of releasing them and forgiving and letting go. And he said, but at the end, I realized ever since I was born, it was like I had this lid over my life, even though I didn't have a clue what she had gone through. And I asked everybody in the room, we were only about 240 people at that time in the room, and how many of you feel like this, who were born post-World War II, that somehow you've had this lid over your life because of something your parents may have gone through? And everyone raised their hands. And then I looked at my own life, and I grew up in New York, and I was born to a mother who is Austrian. My father was an American soldier and was there in Vienna. And she ended up marrying him, coming over to America. And I was born in a country, as you know, America's all about freedom. And yet I had to admit, my mother, she also went, shtum. We don't talk about the horrors that happened there. And instead, I felt like I'd been born with this lid over my life. And I realized I was traveling all over Europe, not only to serve an awakening and healing, but for my own healing. And so some of the issues you carry may not even be your own. They may be from your parents, and yet they get passed on from one cell generation to the next cell generation. And so the journey is all about you going on your own journey, discovering your own truth, finding your own answers, going through your own process of learning your life's lessons, uncovering your own cell memories, and opening into a vast field of love that is your essence. And so many of you wrote in that you've been diagnosed with cancer, with multiple sclerosis, and with depression, and the journey can help you get to the emotional root cause of what co-created your illness. And so if I had to say in a nutshell, what is the journey? The best way I could describe it is in a metaphor, to say that we, all of us, come into this life as a radiant, shining diamond, absolutely whole, as a vast field of love, as an infinite awareness, a oneness that is pervading all of life. As a matter of fact, science will tell you that when you are born in your first days and weeks of life, an infant feels itself to be connected to all of existence as a vast field of love. And when mother's hand comes before your eyes, you experience mother's hand as actually being part of yourself. That's how vast this enlightened awareness is that we all came in as. But unfortunately, through the course of life's pains and trials, this infinite intelligence, this vast field of love, this oneness, this feeling of being connected to all of existence, all of life, and part of all of life, it gets covered over with a series of shutdowns, pain, lies, limitations. And it can be something simple. Like you're 3 years old and you're crying about something, and your mom says, come on, we've got to dry our tears. We've got to get to nursery school. And the first involuntary, automatic shutdown happens. Now, when you start shutting down one emotion, you start shutting them all down. And I can remember when I was, I don't know, about 8 years old, I got invited to represent our elementary school, our grade school, for what is called in the United States a spelling bee. And it was a county-wide contest where all the schools were coming together, and one child was picked from each grade, and I was picked, to represent the third graders. And I'd become a good speller and a good reader because I came from a very violent background, a domestically challenged one. And part of the way I used to escape was into my children's books. And so I got chosen to represent third graders. And we were in this big auditorium-like stadium, and all the mothers had come, and fathers, and all the teachers, and all the students from all the schools. And so there were thousands of people there. And I was standing on stage, and I'd already spelled 3 difficult words. And then they gave me one of the easiest words in the English language, the word fleet. Well, no one I had never seen that word fleet in any of the children's books that I'd read. But I had seen the word flea, an insect, and I stood there on stage and I said, F-L-E-A-T? And the whole audience was hushed. And then all at once, it erupted into laughter. Now, no one had given me a manual. How do you deal with mass humiliation in front of all your friends and fellow students and parents and teachers? And I looked to my mom, who was sitting in the third row where all the parents of the contestants were, and I looked to her for support. And she looked at me as if I was the greatest disappointment in her life, and just shook her head and went, and internally, it was like this wall just came slamming down. And I retreated to the back of the stage where the other losers were. And that day, I decided I'm so stupid. I'm just a laughing stock. I'll never be good at anything. And I'll never succeed at anything I do. I'm just too stupid. And it's like this layer upon layer of shutdowns. I can remember I was 16 years old and I developed a crush on this guy, and I tried to impress him. And well, you know how that goes when you try to impress someone. And I made a complete and utter fool of myself. And I watched the first love in my life running out of my life, and I was running after him. And of course, that day, I decided I'm so unattractive, I'm so unlovable, that no one I'm attracted to will ever want me. I'm just not worthy of love. Layer upon layer of shutdown. And then when we get to be adults, we cover this whole mess over with this mask that we present to the world that says to the world, no, I'm very reliable, I'm dependable, you can count on me. And then we wonder why it is everyone thinks we're so full of, you can finish that sentence. And then if you get to be very lucky, life gives you a wake-up call. Now, these wake-up calls, they can come in so many forms. They can come, as one woman wrote, about a loss of a loved one. It can come in the form of a trauma, someone going to war, in the form of a divorce. For me, it came as a serious illness, where for one moment you decide to get real. And you cracked through this polished veneer that you're presenting to the world, this mask you've been wearing. And you end up spontaneously opening down through the lies, the shutdowns, the limitation, through the pain. And spontaneously you end up opening into your own essence, into your soul, into the infinite intelligence, this vast field of love, this oneness that you came in as. And you realize it's been there all along. Only like me, you bought into all the layers that covered it. And then if you get to be very lucky, is I have been more lucky than I could possibly thank God, life, grace, the universe for. You fall so in love with that vast field of presence, of peace that is your essence, that like me, you will do anything to clear whatever blocks you, whatever shuts you down, whatever buried pain is there, and limitations and blocks that you've put there, so that this radiant love that is your essence can live your life. So if I had to say, what's the journey really about? It's about getting real. It's about cracking through this mask we've all been presenting to the world, opening down through the layers of the lies, shutdowns, and pains, and ultimately opening into your own essence, into your soul, into that infinite intelligence, and being guided by your own soul on a journey inside your body to get access to these cell memories and to go through a profoundly liberating and healing process of not only uncovering there, but releasing that pain, the stored consciousness, all the unspoken words, the vows, the beliefs that have been there, coming to an understanding of what's happened to you in your life, and understanding also why your soul had to live through that, what you were meant to learn from it. And then ultimately, forgiveness of yourself, of others, life, God, so that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old consciousness as new regenerative cells. So even though, as someone was sharing, well, she doesn't have anything physical wrong with her, but she has a lot of anxiety and fear, and she's OCD, And someone else was describing she didn't have anything physically wrong with her, but she somehow couldn't finish with the grief that she had over a loss of a loved one. That these emotional issues, what my prayer is that you clear them before they end up manifesting as illness down the line. And so I feel strongly that I'm not the one that brought you here. Your soul brought you here. And it's calling you home to your own infinite intelligence. It's inviting you to go on your own journey, to uncover your own truth, go through your own healing process, and come to a place of wholeness so that you can live in this love. I remember I was on, before COVID happened, I was touring and I was in a different country, 44 weeks out of the year, every week a different country. And unless I would go down to Australia, and then I'd be in a different city every week. And we were traveling around the world, all around the world. And so every week I was getting a journey process because I knew that there was more than one cell memory here. And I felt it was a privilege to clear whatever blocks me or holds me back on any level of being. And so even though I would love to take you through the whole journey teaching, which is actually a 3-day immersion called the Journey Intensive, where you can really not only learn the teaching, but actually, dive in and go through meditations and do one-to-one process work each and every day and get all the teachings, but to really experientially learn it and experience this liberating work so that when you leave that after the full 3-day immersion, you can use it like I was using it every week to clear whatever's here, to find yourself living more and more as an authentic expression of the truth of who you are. And even though I can't take you into that deep immersion, which is not for people of casual interest, it's for people who genuinely have a thirst to come home and free themselves. And so even though I can't take you into that right now, I'd love to begin this process of you befriending your body, learning how to befriend your emotions, to allow them up, how to listen to your own body. So if you'd like to join me, rather than talking about it, I'd like to take you right into it. So why don't we all just do a divine experiment here and play along? You've got nothing to lose but some old baggage and everything to gain by beginning this relationship with your body, with your heart, with your soul. So let's all take a nice deep breath in, letting it out, and closing your eyes, and taking a deep breath in of openness, and just breathing that into the room. And a deep breath in of the willingness to uncover whatever your body wants to reveal today. It will never give you something you're not ready to face. So if it shows up, it means you're ready to face it. So breathing this willingness to listen to your body, to really be present to it, to open with it, breathing that willingness into the room. And trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in your soul. Trusting in your soul's prayer that it wants you to heal. It wants you to come home. It wants you to begin this process of really uncovering what is here for your soul to reveal and to heal from. So breathing that trust into the room. And now letting your heart be as wide as the world. A vast open sky of all acceptance. And it's spacious and vast, free and endless in front of you. It's boundlessly spacious and vast. Behind you, infinitely free to all sides of you. And you're just resting here as a vast field of acceptance. And now turning your gaze inside the body. And you already know this. Your body is like this container full of all kinds of emotions. And you know, some of our emotions, they're like little kids. They're loud and demanding and attention seeking. And others of our feelings, they're like a small child, a rejected child. And they feel shy and scared about exposing themselves. And some of your feelings, you rejected them so many times, they don't even come up anymore. They're too scared of you. They hide underneath lids or behind closed doors. And so just putting out a heartfelt welcome to all the feelings that live here. And you might even say to your inner self, to your feelings, that you're sorry that you've rejected them and pushed them away so often. And that for today, you're really willing to listen, that you're willing to be present to whatever wants to reveal itself today. And so you might even like to tell that to your body and your feelings. And now, taking a deep breath in of acceptance and blowing that into the room, flooding your whole room with it, finding a part of your body where there may be a little bit of contraction or stress or holding or hiding, some place that feels kind of tense or stressed out or contracted. Locate that area right now. Take a deep breath in of acceptance. And now flood that area with acceptance. Let it soften right now and open up and be marinated and tenderized in your own acceptance. And if there were a feeling starting to just spontaneously arise out of that area, I wonder what that feeling might be. might be as quiet as a whisper. So really have this consciousness of being welcoming and allowing and accepting. And if there were a feeling there, what might it be? And if this area could speak and you gave it a voice and it had words, what would this part of your body say to you right now? Just let the words arise in your awareness. As you listen to the words, how do they make you feel emotionally? Just welcoming whatever's here and whatever's not here. Or maybe a picture's showing up. If a picture's there, step into it. How are you feeling in that picture? Or maybe there's a lid over this area of the body, like you feel blocked in some way. Imagining that there might be a lid there right now. And the same way you'd open up a can of peanuts where you peel the lid back, take hold of this lid and now lift it off. What's hiding here? Just welcoming whatever's here and whatever's not here. Taking a deep breath in of acceptance and flooding that area with acceptance. And now coming to neutral. And then finding a different area of your body where you may be a little tense or tight or contracted. Finding that area right now where there may be a little tension or stress or holding, hiding, contraction going on. Locate that area right now. Take in another deep breath in of acceptance and flooding that area with acceptance. Letting it soften and open up and be tenderized, marinated. And as it's starting to open the area, asking if there were a feeling there, what might that feeling be? Might be quiet as a whisper. But if there were a feeling there, what might it be? Or if this area could speak and had words, what would it say? Give this area of your body a voice and let it just speak up. Or perhaps there is a picture there. If there were a picture there, step into it. How are you feeling in this picture? Perhaps there's a lid there. Take hold of that lid right now. Take hold of it and lift it off. What's hiding here? Welcoming whatever's here, whatever's not here. Taking a deep breath in of acceptance, flooding that area with acceptance and coming to neutral. And then saying to your body that for the sake of today or this evening, no matter what time it is, that you're going to start even taking these baby steps by befriending your body, being open and present, listening to what the body is feeling, opening with that feeling, listening to whatever words want to give rise to themselves. And that you're finally willing to befriend your body and your emotions, just welcoming them. And so if it feels appropriate, you might like to make this promise to yourself that you're going to begin this process of befriending your body. Taking a nice deep breath in, letting it out. And once again, awareness is vast, spacious, free, and endless in front of you. It's boundlessly spacious and free behind. Endlessly free, spacious to all sides. Boundless below and sky-like above. And just resting, soaking, steeping in this, as this, so that eyes open or eyes closed, same. Another nice deep breath in, sighing it out. And one more nice deep breath in, sighing it out. And you can open your eyes now into this presence, this awareness. And let's take another nice deep breath in, sighing it out. And if the eyes have not yet opened, this is your invitation to open your eyes now. Now, I'd love to welcome you, if you'd be willing. Some of you may have just had a very subtle experience and are just beginning this toe dip into beginning this exploration of this inner listening process. Whereas others of you may have uncovered strong emotions. And if you'd be willing to type into the chat box some of the emotions that are coming up for you, then Gabby can share them. And that would be wonderful for all of us, because it'd be wonderful to hear the kinds of things that you discovered are stored inside your body.
Beautiful. Kat shared, and she said it was bursting light. Dion uncovered freedom. And yes, there will be a recording. Anger due to abandonment, sadness from Bibi. The response was so instant from the body.
Wow.
Deep grief, emotional pain, sadness, acceptance, perfect peace, feeling invisible, shame came up, then acceptance, feeling insecure, depression, anger, abandonment, neglect, disgust and embarrassment, fear and pain and release, humiliation and shame. And so it's a long list. I didn't catch everything. They were just going so fast.
Yes.
But a wide variety of everything.
Some of these are very, very deep.
Fear, obviously, fear, shame,
fear,
anxiety,
and humiliation and shame. These are usually buried very deep, and it really is an invitation, not from me, but from your own body, from your soul, really, that it's calling you home to get access to the cell memories that are related to that, and to go through this profoundly liberating and healing process of not only uncovering the exact cell memories, the traumas, the pain that is related to, but to go through this health giving and healing process of release, letting go, letting all the unspoken words, so that when new cells are born and you've finished with all forgiveness, that the new cells can be born devoid of that old programming as new regenerative cells. So I feel that if you've uncovered something really strong, some of you even uncovered the light, the peace, the joy, which is underneath all these emotions. And it's from there, from the freedom of your own essence, that you are, as I gave that example before, that metaphor, that when you go down through all the layers and open into your own self, you are guided by your soul to the specific cellular locations to uncover exactly what's stored there in living color, and to really release and forgive and understand and get the karmic lessons, so that when the new cells are born, they're born without that old programming. And so I really do feel it's an invitation that if you feel that you have this longing for freedom, for healing, coming home to something that feels authentic to you, to clear whatever blocks and shutdowns are here, to live your life more openly and freely from yourself, then I hugely recommend that you get to the online journey intensives that are happening in Australasia and Australia and New Zealand. They're happening here in European time zone, so South African, I recognized they were there, and they're also happening in September. And Gabby can share with you more about that. And also she's going to do a little lottery to pick someone who will get a free place. And so I pray that you listen to your heart's calling. This work isn't for everyone. It's for people who have a real thirst to do the work and to experience liberation, to awaken into your infinite self. So I'll turn you over to Gabby, and she can share a little bit more about where they're happening and when it's happening. And I look forward to seeing you again at the upcoming Journey Intensives around the world and other programs that we give. And until then, a heartfelt namaste from me.
Thank you, Brandon. That was beautiful, and I'm sure very, very profound for many of you. And I was reading all the comments that you shared in the chat box, and I'm Austrian by birth, so I do speak German as fluent as I do English. And there were many, many German comments as well. And whatever we covered, or whatever emotions I covered earlier, there were more emotions, of course. There was sadness, there was loneliness, there was a headache which then cleared, there was humiliation, there was shame, there was a lot of tears, there were pictures. Somebody said, I just have pictures. Well, the interesting thing is, if you step into that picture, you can actually access what was felt. Somebody uncovered a vow. Somebody said, you know, I felt so much of this pain, and then I promised myself I would never feel that again. Well, you know, what we have learned, or what we're also teaching in the journey, when we make these promises to ourselves, they hold. That means you are stopping yourself from feeling emotions, and emotions are the gateway to your soul. Emotions are the gateway to home. They are the gateway to coming home to yourself and uncovering what has put an illness in place, what keeps you tired, what keeps you exhausted, what keeps you depressed, what keeps any of the issues, whether they are physical or whether they're emotional, in place. And so it is absolutely important to be able to access emotions. And during the Journey Intensive weekend, you will learn all of that. Somebody actually wrote in the comments during in the lead up to today that there was self-hatred and self-forgiveness was needed, and even that will be covered. So any aspect of uncovering or going down through the emotional layers, the aspect of forgiveness, all of that will be covered. And whatever issue you have right now, this is your first step. This is your first step to healing. And I have seen people heal from all kinds of issues, themes, illnesses over the past 27 years. It's been an incredible privilege to be with Brandon, to be at the seminars, to be at the online events. And now that this event, the Journey Intensive, is online, we are able to offer it at a much reduced price, and it's less than half of what we used to have to charge. And in addition, you would have needed to travel to a hotel, maybe stay at a hotel. And so in Central Europe, the events are now 247 euros for the 3-day event. In Australia, they are 397 Australian dollars. So it is very, very affordable. And at the end of this month, we have all of Europe in English with translation. I think we have Czech, we have French and other translations. Please find out from your country heads. Then we also have the same weekend in Australasia, and we have Germany happening on the same weekend. We have North America in the middle of October. So wherever in the world you are, there is an event coming up that will fit your time zone and hopefully your language as well. I can only recommend it to with all my might, because it changed my life, it changed hundreds of thousands of people's life. And this is only the first step. Some people were writing in about wanting to deal with relationships, financial issues. And there are further advanced retreats that you then can attend once you've done the Journey Intensive. And with this one coming up at the end of September, the whole curriculum is actually available. And that means later on this autumn, we have an abundance retreat. Then in February, in early March next year, we have another No Ego retreat. We have the full Journey Practitioner program if you jump in at this one coming up at the end of September. It's life-changing. It's a trampoline into freedom, I would call it. It is a profound uncovery or self-discovery and a clearing of issues that we may have come in with either from past life or generational issues, or have amassed in this lifetime. Whatever it is, it's our job to clear it and to be in life fully, wholeheartedly, with every fiber of your being. And this is the only work I know that helps you do that. And so if you make that first step, you have something that will accompany you for the rest of your life. And so I invite you with all my heart. There is something else. If you're not sure, oh no, there's two things. There is a free place to offer. Just bear with me one moment. And there is something else we do. If you're not quite sure if this is for you or if you are ready for this, we do have a calling system, a clarity call. And I think my colleague Olga is going to share a link here. You can book a call and you can speak to somebody. Everybody within our team has gone through the full practitioner program and will be able to help you, support you, and speak truthfully to you. Is it for you, or maybe it's not for you? Whatever that is, give us a call or let us know, or write to support@thejourney.com. And I promised a free place at the beginning of tonight, and I'm going to close my eyes right now and I do a scrolling exercise, and then I will choose somebody. So give me a moment, and I'm just not looking at the participant list. but wherever it stops, it is a Gabriela Oprea. Gabriela Oprea. Gabriela, if you haven't done the Journey Intensive and you would like to join us at this upcoming Journey Intensive, I'm taking your name and I get our team to send you a message, because you must be on our database, otherwise you wouldn't have found your way here. So congratulations, Gabriela Oprea. Let me write that down. So I hope we see you at one of the upcoming events. If this one coming at the end of September is not suitable, the next one is in November, or just have a look on the events schedule or on the events page and find whatever works for you, either time zone wise or language wise. That's all from me, and many thanks for the many blessings for Brandon. She's deeply grateful that you came, that you stayed, and as I wrote earlier in the chat box, it's more healing for her to know that we didn't have to cancel something because of her not being well enough. She was absolutely delighted, and with all of the many blessings and well wishes that she has received, I'm sure she will feel even better tomorrow. So thank you with all my heart for being here, for joining us today, and I look forward to maybe see you at the upcoming events. Many thanks. Namaste. Good evening. Thank you.